the time has come when we take bold action about decentralizing the Accountant General's department.
Eddie John Dramani Mahama, I say, finally, Controller and Accountant General, entering this idea month for fit, and for more cry. Me were not your 40 jenny, our bole, your 40 jenny, our bamboy, your 40 jenny, our casapin, your 40 jenny, our yamaka. Next 30 jenino, and so or 20 boas letter, the man district, not district, actual letter, the region, not region, actual letter, the cross identity.
We said we have the men and we are more knowledgeable than the NDC. Today they beat us to it, didn't they? That's not the only thing they did. They have been able to keep the dollar at 12. Why is anybody not blaming the governor, the finance minister, and the vice president who chaired the economic management team?
Meda President Mahama said, Lebusonche, Ofa Bosonchia, said the Wakan Expressway no bar, Bosonchi never gateway to Kumasi.
If we are talking about the sins of Kenofurata, he was reporting to somebody. I think at some point we need to be asking the president, the former president, questions about what he was doing while his ministers were looting our coffers dry.
Yes, you go with Nana Showboy, Nana Gaga, Nana Adudi. You go with Papa and say, hey, Auntie Oman Penina da what na order? No one sorry, no one yane. Who will be, what he be? Say, who appointees are for more say, Ghana na yes, a developing country in Tentem, and to waste 120 ministers who appoint you, and to whom say Omudis can left, right, center. John Dramani Mahama, my president, your president, our president. Papa ne say Abba, baby aduru eye. Asem we de eye wanka kura na, baby aduru ni tibe pai no. O say emra so say the accountant and control general. Control and accountant general office wana. Agoye akra nkwa sehwe. Na ya fa obi adwumam e ne kurum bole. Na this is trelete edema district. Na district trelete edema regional. Na regional trelete edema national. Answer the very controller and accountant general. And say ababedru but the kurum bole no. That's any part of 18 months on your salary. And you say now say who will say a nurse for a bit of 10 months, 14 months on your salary. I did therefore a bit of 11 months, 12 months on your salary. Junior doctors, a bit of 13 months, 14 months on your salary. Or see now we are. Ono President John Dramani Mahama. Ono grandpa no na katria or start ya mamwe. There's a 4-5 man na katria mai. Nani ai Rashid Papu. As the katria say na government appointees about 9 good months. Na yentwa mukaye. Minimbo say na yetwa muka na yentwa muka. And the John Dramani Mahama say yeah, baby adu ni ye.
We have the issue of decentralization of Accountant General's departments. We have struggled with this for some years, and I think that the time has come when we take bold action about decentralizing the Accountant General's departments. The Accountant General in Ghana manages the payroll of a nurse in my hometown in Billian. If she reports to work, she doesn't report to work. If she deserts her position, her salary continues to go into her account, because by the time somebody writes a letter to the region sends it to the ministry sends it to the accountant general, some 3, 4, 5, 6 months have passed. And then every year the auditor general will flag it and say somebody continued to receive a salary even after they had deserted their post. There's a case of the person who died. I'm sure you heard it in the last auditor general's report. And the officials of the entity attended his funeral. And yet, after the man died, they attended his funeral. For 36 months, his salary was credited to his account. I mean, that is extreme anyway, but it's an example of what can happen, you know, if we don't decentralize and strengthen the process. And so, teachers work in the districts, nurses work in the districts, and they form the bulk of our payroll. I don't see why we can't have district treasuries where their payments are made from, so that if they are not at post, it's easier to be able to determine that. I know that you have this system of validation, and so every month they have to sign to make sure that people are at post. But who really goes around and goes to every single school in my district to count which teacher is there and which teacher is not there? They just validate automatically. And that's how come sometimes we have ghosts, on the payroll. However you exercise them, they resurrect. And so that's something that we need to look at.
Or say, you decentralize the controller and accountant general office. Now, say, Sunyaya Eduha, Techima Eduho, say Tamala Eduho, say Wa Eduho, say Bogatanga Eduho, say Navrango Eduho, Ebu Greater Accra, Ebu Kumasi, Ebu Ebia Mampong, Yanche. Na enko every region bia, enko every district bia. Na osi the entire ye ghost name be. Utie public accounts committee for adeya ana ye twa nipa ne ba nipa bika wu ama workers wo ho ago na yie according to John Mahama. There's a 34 months. Yet a year na omuko obi ko bonsa no. Sa ye krona na ye guzu ye twa nipa ne kwa for about 34 good months. I was way overstretched. Aden na ibesa erowi. Aden na say a train letter and see could do account controlling accountant general Accra. And see no letter ban say na be there be catch here e dey twa. Oso obi wo ha say bi wa film so ye tweneka obi wo tu kwan so ye tweneka. De ya fa na adwuma so a wo ye adwuma 8 months 10 months so a na ka twa mai. All because controller and accountant general at the office of Accra. Ye bibia magana ni waka bia. Nji ose we no debia no I'm waiting for the controller and accountant general for validation. Ose sir na Ghana. Ha manfo omo yefu mafoforo no omo bre. Omo so anka mafiri mu anka se omo pay no ye yifrim na ekokye obi edi anim no. Ono so odisika a onye adwuma magana bio. Nji ose we Sanema ya etuwa ntwa afuwe etuwa ntwa animanim ya ede asemabati for now ono John Dramani Mahama John Ababi Ojon Kwame Nkrumah ameki sure say obi make sure say ye be decentralize control and accountant general ni adako every region and every district said be ya obi a ebetumatua workers a eye adwuma a won district eka said be ya say obi eye ghost name no mu a ye betuma yi ntem edi afiri mu said be ya for obi adwuma ye betuma twa ne kantem na onko 8 months 10 months as na twa kan say John Dramani Mahama uyo napo nyangubo nhyirawo saa de madwene ho a besi ne entiase na say wanga say watamfo sha say so mo abaso ne say uye adwuma na say adwuma na ubo no uyo napo ubo adwuma pa mami aye friend honorable Irene na toshi say na NPP for na mo support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia mo yabo no mo se waye den ne bone ne say mo to ma say mo jeje ni mu obese ote ase ne bone a wode ayemo no de he say waka che say Bawumia ba ya sidi na wantimi amra sidi na yes stable sidi na loki ede key go ma IGP ye wi na sidi na wapie sidi na for window sidi na for window mo jampie pie ana na mabontin rough mozo dentia na na dran kwa Akuffo Akuffo ba say yes sidi no emoya edi mafa papai mafa brante so me ka me hono mo ame na ye maga na currency na musanya dubio edi wo say muduo no enu ani ahi wan di man ya adwuma yi young man yi ba ye papa ye friend Dr. Kesila to force wo bo adwuma dwopo John Dramani Mahama na ye friend incompetent oni madwuma oyesei John Mahama esu ba ya sidi wara sidi ne kama enne Ghana economy ekoye even though you NPP ni ba wanka na kura na obwa Ghana economy ni ekoye enti asemi okoka ya mo amu support Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia mo ke kan etese ene se wadi NPP atem no wadi NPP atem sei wadi Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia wadi na atem sei ye na oka ye de na munti bi da de okaye muhuye ma hu se papa ye friend Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia oye vice president na no oka na ho no na yesi di no ekwa kodu 70 ma hu se fu obo ekwa osoro ma hu se ase wo de city wa chi city na hyedem e de key na ma IGP ma hu ase ene Dr. Kesel ato forcing our finance minister by but you see the saying enye mo fe say ye mo John the money Mahama na ono Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia e fe ni incompetent no oba ye ene si di no enye mo fe honestly say eye fe dia ene ye ntum say nipa na ye yi no say yes I go to aba amanfo si engo yi ne mra omwa otom omwa Ghana fo no okobo NPP fo enti be bia duru munya ni di na munya ni dimbo mo Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia chi mo betima di na tem say mo pe bia but the way this informal economy na attract no all the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia na eba efa we had the family do mama and the ubuni your fans.
We said we have the men and we are more knowledgeable than the NDC. Today they beat us to it, didn't they? That's not the only thing they did. They have been able to keep the dollar at 12. Why is anybody not blaming the governor, the finance minister, and the vice president who chaired the economic management team? Is it because I'm a female? I'm a woman. So in this country, where we have too many male chauvinists, it's easy to put your hand in a woman's eye and blame her for something. No. The dollar has been kept. Whether they are putting money in, whatever it is they are doing, President Akuffo made it clear that he only brought Dr. Bawumia to come and help him to fix the economy. He said, if I say it in Twi, yesikana ye jata and muntina makofa Dr. Bawumia se ombe yesikane mayen unyano. If after 8 years yentimi anye sikana, where are the men who are blaming me? Where are those who are pointing fingers? Se mina mima yelusui. What about the fact say 17 to the dollar? All those men, do they not exist? It is sad that I have to come out and talk about a party like this. But the way they are pointing their hands into my eye, I have infections in my eye. And it's time for me to bring out that log. I did not do anything wrong. I am an agent. I'm a tool. The job is by the administrator is to receive funds from finance. And when you receive the funds, you disburse it as approved by Parliament. If you receive funds that is not approved, you cannot be allowed to disburse it. I worked hard. My job was given to me by President Akuffo. By the time President Akuffo was leaving office, he honored a few people that he believed had worked very hard for him. We got various categories, the Order of the Volta and all that. And I'm proud to say that President Akuffo honored me. And up till today, whenever he sees me, he thanks me for a good work done.
Na anya honorable Irene na Toshingwa na Ebaba so ubediedi say a presidential presidential candidate aspirant. Dr. Ya Osei Adutum, former education minister under Nana Akuffo ni Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Papa no say hey Obo John Dramani Mahama Baso Papa Ebibinanu Yako Pongroma Ebo Kesela to force Yabaso Nanu ye so Yebenya a friend say John Akuffo former president Ebo John Mahama Baso Nanu ye afe Yesu yenkotia nipa ba ko ayen suspected that education minister was go pray say NPP delegates ebeto abama no amana be flag bearer edema NPP papa ne say John Dramani Mahama sa expressway na obey from Accra to Kumasi and us masa uta kudu no in America o si de John Mahama be ye die eye papa no plus who railway am never come. Or say, yes, I'm a man, full, and more contour a kama, and more contemporary time, and more productivity high. So that when you know him said, the money, Mahama, said you obedience at the papa way, at the Magana. Then on the way, dear, or the Namiasi, or the Nasi, or that's a party Ghana for it here. On one him so NPP ni. When he says him okay, aha. That delegates if only they are going to go see bonnet, but a so can. Expressway, Addo Mahama, area from Accra to Kumasi in the according to Dr. Addo, HSA, a year, Jido Mama, ready, Omo Pussy.
That's a bridge in Amsusao, a Punum, no, they are cooking. Engineers here. Says only, Adeba Qua. China for him say, on some won't cross your pa. The baby or what? A valleys near the idea of her, and Yadikitwa. And almost yet bridges at the coho. Bridge now, more yeno, almost yes, a beya, Oko Chroma, Obedrin Tamo, almost yes, a beya, companies, Becoho, no Makoya factories or. Amo mine iden, a hono, a peja, a more bee. And this opesa we Accra, Kumasi Express Road, Nekofa, Timoda, Afenu Honum Sa, Abepi Lake Bosumche, Meda President Mahama say, Lebusumche, Ofa Bosumche. Said the Wakan Expressway no ba Bosonchi nebe gateway to Kumasi.
Yeah.
Ufa Bosonchi and San Nobe Kumasi Expressway.
Yeah.
Said John Mahama ever said the Controller and Accountant General Office. Ye decentralize it. Now and now baby I will be an before Duma. So your government appointee. You bet mature our origin. Abraham take 5-6 months. Said a bit more protecting my ghost names. Ain't me ma. Yeah, payment listeners were. Now say Honorable Irene. Now to she our NPP ni mapa. I say Mama John Dramani Mama so. Now the mama ya de papa because see the any your friend is saying fool now other to Ghana. The way name one higher no. Or then the finances the doctor case out to force. O my day. Bawumia almost had the buy more. Oh, now no go see ya. Papa your friend no. Dr. Addo. As you say, your mama say expressway over there. Papa, you man wouldn't be here. Nagubo Shirao. The obey the way pa de NPP ni, but no fancy memo. Now, no got to any Kubusa, Dr. Atta Kennedy. I said, we need to ask Nana Akuffo Addo what he was doing when his ministers were looting the country dry.
Leaving the country. But I think there is value in your point that it will seem as if as long as the Nana Akuffo Addo government remained in power, Kenofurata was untouchable, and so were quite a lot of other people. I think we need to move towards a justice system where, regardless of who is in power or whatever your position is, independent agencies or supposedly independent agencies like the OSP can go after people. After all, that is why the OSP was set up in the first place, so that it could resist political pressure. But to be honest though, even the Attorney General's office in a country that is serious ought to be able to go after people. After all, that is why the United States brought the idea of special counsel. Clinton was president when the special counsel was named to investigate him. We've seen that Trump was also in office when one was named to investigate him. We need to move away from this system where being an incumbent seems to insulate you from judicial processes and you can do whatever you like with impunity. In effect, we seem to be practicing serial one-party dictatorships that last 4 or 8 year terms. And then once that system is over, then the other party comes and they make noise about how we are shocked about why all these things happen. So where was Parliament when these things were happening? Well, there are a lot of people who have questions to answer as to what happened. And remember how a lot of even NPP MPs wanted Mr. Ofurata removed, and for a whole year, all of them couldn't get one person removed. And in effect, if we are talking about the sins of Kenofurata, he was reporting to somebody. I think at some point we need to be asking the president, the former president, questions about what he was doing while his ministers were looting our coffers dry. I think he has a moral responsibility to be asked to address some of these things.
Yes, you go Musa, Nana Showboy, Nana Gaga, Nana Adudi. You go Musa Papa and say, hey, Enti Oman Penina da what na no order, no what sorry, no one yane. Who be, what he be? Say, who appointees are for more say, Ghana na yes, a developing country in Tentem. And you was 120 ministers who appointed. And to whom say Omudis can left right center. Unim. Nanu ya Dominic Nitiku, former defense minister, in about $40 million out of $80 million. Which we are amo vehicle a man be drew. And you know, Papa Kenofurata about 6 cases. And that also Nanu ya strategic mobilization limited. And no go on only 7 others, 78 counts. And they are pretty true. And you know, Mustafa Hamid, National Petroleum Authority, and also you got Papa on also 54 counts. And also they're pretty true. At the same time, you're seeing the assets worth $100 million. And you know, Abdul Wahab, friends, Abdul Wahab, our national buffer stock CEO, former. And also, Sika Wadi Be, and Yesika Ketwa. Your friend is a chama to me, you go so in Nasim. You need a chance to be seen. You can ask me and career. And the Papa, your friend of Dr. at Kennedy, our physician and political analyst. As a so buso, or President of Winna Cano, no Mubusa question say, Papa, your friend, another Lanquafado. Inti, and there's Dr. Yao Aduchum, our friend is a former education minister. Senior Honorable Irene na Toshi, as you ever John Mahama Baswa. Observes Omoba John Mahama Baswi. Because a time must scandal be my inti ananado otana. No, why? Oh, who day, Jen Tia, Sans winning Nessie. I can force so, baby say, ye bunanka we for penny alternate female and Nankadi. Nebunanka we for you can't come with me. Eti papa, I am friend. Nanago, Nanado, Fado, Paponim, Chronicles, we only be. Anameboa. Anameboa. Yes, in Penia, what no female Palawin Nankano. You wouldn't go for a kind of go. And this all your way, and I say, Anna. But don't the money, Mamma say, a free never grow, or make sure, say, Obama, the friend is a controlling accountant general. The office, a bit decentralized, Amanabel district, said a bear near Ghana, a fire worker. 2 months be announced at salary. Now 8 months, 10 months, 11 months. Now who demonstration and who soon and who yes I na Dawson. Yes I say Omampini Udi or say Nefe and Fatagana. All because say account controlling accountant general bank of on one overseas be saying I'm not to say it trust anyone, but Dr. Yao Aduchum, our former education minister, or Sijo Mama or Bonabaso, say expressway now being a crack to Masino. Waseo, why in hina? Anna honorable Irene Toshi, as also a NPP or say Bawumia Akuffo. Won't come on to the doctor Kessel and to force him. Any job, Mama Yamagana. A swany, a sefata, some bombaso. For comments, no, at all comment section, I say, we are subscribing, like it, Neshe Munya so any ever. Edino air back up Maxi, Billian, our naked truth. Oldboga prez, Macau. Bye bye.